Charge your batteries, lock in those props, and check that airspace. Join us live. This is the Drone Owners Network.
And we are back. Sorta. Kinda. Maybe. Well, okay, some of us are back. Boom. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We took a little bit of a week's vacation off there and got a few things taken care of. Some of our folks are already in the chat group. Yeah. Glad to have you guys on board. Hey, right off the bat, I just want to say, for all you mothers out there, we want to wish all of you mothers a very, very happy Mother's Day. We love you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be sure and call your mothers if you're not nearby. Spend tomorrow with your mothers. Yeah, you can give up a day of flying. That's all there is to it. Just wanted to point that out. Boom, there is that. So Tommy Polo is off and Randy's off. Everybody's off kind of doing some stuff right now, and it's just me today. And so I guess there won't be any news per se, but there is some things happening. So let me go back over to this right here and bring up that screen. Unleash your other side. This is very interesting. So this came out a few days ago on the DJI website. A lot of speculation as to what this is. Well, if you ask me, it looks like water underwater and somebody flying or leaping out of the water into the sunlight. But it says unleash your other side. Then I went on to a mobile site and I found this. Here, let me turn off our window capture so we can focus on this. And then interestingly enough, I thought I'd go over to the GoPro site because I know GoPro has got something similar. I wonder if it's the same person. Looks like the same fins. Doing some searches around the internet, I came up with some other things. This was posted on Twitter from DJI, a little cartoon kind of thing, little action cam kind of thing going on. And then one of our favorite guys that has always predicted some releases, he's out there tweeting right now. So look, if you're following him, you might want to check that out. And then this popped up on a Google search, the Osmo Action. And this popped up on a Google search. So, I mean, this is looking really like a GoPro right here as far as I'm concerned, with the exception of that front-facing screen. If that is indeed a front-facing screen, it could be, the information, how many frames per second, or do you want video, or do you want time-lapse? I mean, it could be that. Nobody is really sure just yet. And then this photo popped up online. So lots of speculation out there as to what's going on with that. We're not really sure. We don't really know. But I'm going to say that this Tuesday that we're probably going to be getting an action cam. Let me see. Let me jump over to chat. So that there is that. So now let me jump over to the chat room real quick, see what we got, because everybody's pinging me here. Doug Mellon, shirt. Yes, shirt. Spider-Man, Iron Man, and it's got Hulk on it too. So, yeah, Lauren, yep, DJI Action Cam. No, Curtis Dart, it's a swimmer in the water with fins. That first photo, man, that looks like he's above the water. I mean, seriously, look at that, Doug. I'm telling you. Sorry, Doug, about your mom. Fly safe, buddy. Yeah, for sure. Let's see what else we got here. I want to be sure. Thomas, first time here, looking forward to it. You came highly recommended, so no pressure from Ireland. Well, Thomas O'Sullivan, thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm pretty sure it's pretty late for you right there. We're just having fun here, and we hope you have some fun as well. Also, 99% confirmed it's an action camera. I'm pretty sure it is, too. I just don't want to be the one guy that says it's for sure when it turns out something else. Who knows? Lyman, hey, glad you could finally make it here. I do want to do a slight preview, and I say slight preview because it is not 100%. It's like 99%. We've been talking with another company, and they want to do an extended promotion where we are going to be doing some giveaway stuff on this show, and it's some pretty cool stuff. Essentially, I can kind of tell you what it's about. It's an Easter egg hunt, and in this Easter egg hunt, you will be searching a Google Earth for a location, and every week for the next 12 weeks, we would give out clues as to the location, and at that location, if you find it, there will be prizes. Now, the prizes are everything from stickers to t-shirts to software to drones. Yep, we're going all the way up to drones here. I've got a meeting later on this afternoon to finalize everything with the folks, And if we get that finalized, I'm going to be happy to make an announcement a little bit later on. I hope you guys like that. It's like I said, it's going to be a really, really cool promotion. I'm really excited about doing this. But we're going to finalize everything coming up here. But I have a very good friend of mine sitting across from me, and I want to have a really nice conversation with him. But before we do that, let's do this.
Charge your batteries, lock in those
What
props.
the heck? I always got to screw something up. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Drone Owners Network Live a good friend of mine, Mr. Eran Steiner, and he is representing, or he is actually the CEO of Airdata at airdata.com. Now, I have been a religious fanatic about preaching about Airdata to folks that ask me, hey, why did my drone crash, or what happened here? I've done it for years. In fact, I've utilized Airdata since my Inspire 1 days, and I had the great fortune of meeting Eran at International Drone Day in Portland about 3 years ago. And we had a nice long chat, and he and I both stayed in the same hotel. We got to fly after the event, which was really, really cool. And we've been talking ever since about things that he's doing and stuff like that. So I thought it'd be a great idea to bring him on the show and do two things. One, talk about how he came up with Airdata and kind of the process of building this app and this website and everything, and then to go through the website and show the importance of Airdata for you guys. So, Eran, welcome to Drone Owners Network Live.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, glad to have you here, man. Glad to have you here. It's always great to talk to you. So let's start off the bat, and you can go back as far as you want, but how did you come up with this concept of data? And first of all, how'd you find out about it? Because I didn't know that, all this data was on I kind of knew there was something, but I didn't know all the information. So I'll let you figure out at what point in time you want to start on this, and then just kind of walk us through the steps of how you got up to where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, Curtis, we were, during the day, we were flying over there with the smoke, following the smoke grenades. And that was,
yeah.
fantastic.
That was Kenji. I thought he was kind of crazy doing that, but yeah, Kenji, a good friend of ours, he had his smoke grenades mounted underneath his Inspire, and we would kind of follow him around. In fact, I can put a link to that later on in the deal. But yeah, that was a great event.
We had about 10 drones up in the air, kind of following. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, good memory. So maybe we can get started with what is Airdata. I'm sure some folks on the stream there don't know what is Airdata. So maybe I'll quickly explain what is Airdata, and then we can dive in. I can take you through some of the history, and we can dive in. I have a demo ready to show you some tips and tricks and how to get the most out of it. So Airdata allows you to analyze your flight logs. So you go out, you fly, you use whatever flight app you want to use, and then you're done. And there's actually a lot that is stored on the drone and on the tablet itself in terms of what exactly happened during the flight. And many people don't know it's even there, and what kind of data is there and what kind of analysis you can do on that. So I would like to take you through it and show you some of the things you can do with that data. So with that, maybe I'll switch over to sharing my screen here.
Yeah. Jump over to sharing your screen. That's pretty cool.
When you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it right now.
Awesome. So when you log in, that's what you see. That's the main overview screen, the main login screen. Just a quick overview of that. Then we're going to jump into the background. So here on the left, you can see all of my flights. This is a demo account. So all my flights in the demo account. Then you can see an overview of some of the flight time that I did. My longest flight time, the furthest home distance, highest altitude. I did not fly. That's a demo account. I did not fly that high. And all kinds of cool stuff over here. So maybe I'll switch really quick and give you...
Can we back up just a second and show the front screen on Airdata and talk about the different plans, the free plan?
Yeah, maybe. Sure, yeah. So there's a free plan. Here, let me click this.
Unless you have something scripted out that you want to kind of go over, but
either way. So Airdata, you can create a free account. You can upload, register if you want to go. Just go to airdata.com. You'll have the register up here. You can sign up. It's free. We don't need a credit card for you to sign up. And there's a lot of things you can do in the free account. including uploading up to 100 flights. I know there's maybe a little misconception out there. You can only upload 100 flights. You can actually upload as many flights as you want. So it's just the older flights are going to get kind of kicked out of your quota, but you can continue uploading as many as you want and still be on the free plan basically forever.
So essentially what you're saying is you can upload 100 flights, and when you upload the 101st flight, the first flight falls off. When you upload the 102nd flight, the second flight falls off.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And it's not exactly falling off. It's still there. It's an archive. And if you end up choosing to upgrade because you become more serious about it, then it's still going to be there. So we're not removing your flights when you cross that 100 threshold. So check it out. If you don't have an account yet, go ahead and give it a shot. See what we do.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything, so it's
Exactly.
just try it.
And I want to switch really quick to this. It's a quick slide, kind of talk about the company and where we came from. So we founded the company in 2015 as Healthy Drones. I don't know how many of you heard the name before, but yeah, Curtis, I know you. And believe it or not, a lot of people still refer to Airdata as Healthy Drones, and they go and they use healthydrones.com, and you can go there right now and check it out. It's just basically going to tell you that we changed our name to Airdata back in 2017. And my background, I was started my career in the Israeli Air Force in the pilot program over there, and then I focused on drones later on and computers in the intelligence, and that's really where my passion started with anything drones and software. And then I went and worked in a number of companies doing a lot of analysis of logs, which is also something I'm very passionate about. And then I got my Phantom 3, and I saw what kind of data it collects, and I thought, wow, so much great information and so much you can do with it and analyze it. And that's when I came up with Healthy Drones, and with the intent of providing crash prevention information for drone pilots. Very quickly, we learned that there's a lot more to do with drone flights. There's a lot of pilot management, maintenance, fleet management, a lot of things you can do on an ongoing basis with drones and drone logs. So that's when we switched to Airdata. We're based in El Dorado Hills, so I don't know if you guys know where that is. This is California. We're kind of smack in the middle. San Francisco, you're right, is right over here. Sacramento is just here. Lake Tahoe, if you've ever heard of it, it's right here. So that's where we are. We have today more than 100,000 active users in the system, more than 250,000 drones. We crossed 7 million, I want to say, just a few weeks ago. And we're already, Curtis and I were just looking before the show, and it's almost 7.5 million. We get an average of 15,000 flights a day. So
should say flight logs, I think. So
flight logs.
Flight logs that are being uploaded, yeah.
Exactly.
That's insane. Well, 5 of those drones are mine, so you can just say 5 of those 250. Those are 5 of them are mine. So anyway, go ahead.
So this is a little bit of a history about kind of where we started and where we are and what we're passionate about. And so this is the platform. Maybe let's jump in. Maybe the first step when you go out and fly. So you take the drone, right, and you go out and you either do it for fun, or you're flying for fun at this moment, or you go out and you have a job and you need to take a picture of something or a video of something, and you kind of focused on that. And so you go out to fly and you have maybe 20 minutes, 25, right, of safe flying, and it goes by very, very quickly. And when you fly, there's a lot of things that get your attention. You're either looking at your tablet, but many times you go up and look up to see that you can see the drone. Might be kids running around, cars driving by, you might have power lines, you might hear a helicopter coming, right? There's a lot of things that happen in the flight. And it's not always easy to keep an eye on the tablet screen. So the tablet screen would either be, you just fly with the sticks, or you do a mission flight, or whatever mode you're flying in. But it's very easy to miss something very important that shows up. And that kind of was the background for why we started Healthy Drones or Airdata. So let's jump in. So let me show you how you get your flights to Airdata. The first thing is to go to upload. And there's all kinds of way you can upload your flights. Many, I would say most of our flights come from DJI Go, DJI Go 4, or DJI Pilot. And we have an automatic way to do it. For people who just getting started and want to just test out our system, you can do manual upload. And we provide instructions here on how to do it. So you can do it manually and just test a few flights and see what you think. Or if you want to move to automatic upload, you can click any of those links here. We support many flight apps where you just fly, and when you're done flying, it will automatically upload your flight logs to Airdata. So HD Sync is a small app that we provide that you can install on your tablet, either your Android or iOS. If you have Crystal Sky or Smart Controller, you can install it on that as well. And maybe let's take a look at the Android app, see how that looks like. So when you sign up to an account, you're going to get an auto upload token, and you can get it pretty much going to where I just went. And this auto upload token will tell the Sync app to upload this flight log to your account. And this is what it looks like. This is the HD Sync app. If you go to the Play Store, look for Airdata or HD Sync, you can download it. And you type in your user token over here, and then you can choose to automatically sync flights to Airdata. And the nice thing about the Android or the Crystal Sky apps is that it will automatically upload your flight logs as soon as you land. So if you're out in the field, you're flying, then by the time you get to the office, you'll have the flight already on your account. Or if you don't have internet out in the field, you can, the app will automatically upload the flights when you're back in internet, with internet. So this is how you do it automatically. And again, we support multiple flight apps. Whatever you guys use, check out that list over there. We keep adding more and more flight apps. So if there's something that you guys don't see here and would like to see integration, we would love to work with whichever flight app to automate that. So let's go back here and see, now that we talked about how you get the flights to Airdata, let's see what you can do with that. And,
this is where it gets good.
Yeah, that's where it gets very interesting. And there's a lot to see over here, probably more than we have time for the show. So please give it a shot and upload and see what you think. So this is the general overview screen of the flight. You can see the flight map over here. You have a lot of information about the flight, when was the flight, flight time, battery, etc., the total mileage, distance, altitude. If you want to change units, sometimes we get questions how to do it. It's right here. Metric, imperial. You can also choose settings. Different European countries have different units. You can customize all of that. Here in the bottom, you can download a bunch of links, KML, JPX, the CSV. You can open that in Excel, or the original file that came from the tablet. You can also see image previews. Now, the image previews, a lot of people don't know. When you use DJI Go or DJI Pilot, it will automatically capture previews of images in the flight log, in the binary flight log. So when you upload the flights, all of a sudden you'll find images that you were not aware, perhaps, that are there. So that's pretty cool. And you can do a lot of cool things with them. Maybe I'll show you guys later if we have time under the media tab. Maybe I'll switch to another flight here really quick. I want to show you. So this is a flight out by a lake. And let's go ahead and open the KML, which will open Google Earth.
This is one of my favorites.
And this is pretty much 3D. So you can fly towards the flight path and see it around and kind of move around and really see what happened during the flight. And notice that this flight is kind of going up and again up towards the end of the flight. So we'll get back to that. I want to show you some really interesting...
Let me jump in, and I want to tell everybody a personal experience I had. Last year I was out flying, and I lost connectivity with my drone, and the drone went into return to home, no problem. In the past, before Airdata, when something like that would happen, you would start losing trust in your drone. But I had Airdata at the time, and I came back, and I thought, well, what was it that I lost connectivity with? And I came back, I uploaded it, and I went on Google. I couldn't find anything other than you just lost connectivity. Then I went on Google Earth, And I downloaded the KML file and went on Google Earth and kind of looked at the path as to where I was. And as soon as I got to that spot where I'd lost connectivity, there was an antenna array that I did not know was there, and I was right beside it, and it was between me and the RC. So that's why I lost it. And I just kind of gone around this little corner, was going to come back around, but I'd just gotten behind that, and it's what interrupted it just long enough. So that alone, other than just kind of seeing how cool your flights are, it can tell you a lot of other information there as well. So definitely check out the KML file and open it up in Google Earth. It's cool to check out, but there are other great features in here, and I can see he's fixing to pull some of those features up and show you that stuff.
Yeah, so just following on what you mentioned. So I went to the sensor signal strength sensor page where we calculate the signal strength throughout the flight. And you can see in this specific flight, so this is the home point. I don't know if it comes across the streaming, but you can see that the further out you go, the more purple it gets. Now, on this specific aircraft, that's the Phantom 3, I believe, the signal is actually weaker when you're flying back home. So it's stronger when you go, and you can see that it's more, you get more signal strength because the antenna direction is better. So that's a cool way to see that. And this is the page. I just jumped really quick to the sensors and signal map. So that's something that you can see right away. And yeah, if you're doing repeating flights in one area and you're constantly getting signal errors, it would be really good for you guys to check out this page, maybe download a few KMLs into Google Earth and just see if you can see a pattern. Maybe that area has an antenna or a big metal piece of something or power lines or whatever it is, and you can see very quickly where you should avoid flying, and because return to home is not something you want to rely on. All right, so going back to the beginning, details page, well, actually, before we jump over, so there's a lot of things you can do in this page. You can add tags, and then you can search on tags, you can report on tags, a lot of little things that you can do. The details page would show you the drone and battery that were automatically detected by the system. So our goal is to make it as easy as possible for folks to upload log files, and also to have everything else automatic. So if you create a new account, a brand new account, and you take flight logs and you upload, you'll see that we automatically create the drone and batteries that you were using, and then we'll automatically link any future flights to those drones and batteries. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. So if you have more than one drone and batteries, it will be just automatically linked. And then you have some information about the takeoff, the address. We collect that automatically. The notification screen is really cool screen, and that goes back to what I mentioned. You go out and fly and you miss maybe something. That's where you want to go and check out what happened. And so you can see in the screen, there's a lot of things to look at on this flight. If you scroll down, it would kind of highlight what happened throughout the flight, just the events that are important. So some of it is what you'll see throughout the flight. If you kind of keep your eyes on the tablet, you'll see that. But some of the things here are things that we add as analysis that we do post-flight to give you additional information. And I want to show you the player that we have over here. So the player, you probably saw something similar in DJI Go. You open DJI Go, you kind of see the player that looks similar to this. What we did, we took it a step further, and we added a lot of information here at the bottom from the flight. You can customize the fields that you want to take a look at, the playback speed, etc. You can see the remote sticks. So when you go and you trying to analyze what happened in the flight, this is a great place to start and keep track of what happened in the flight. And you'll see the little drone arrow over here, and it will move as we start moving. For folks who used it before, I don't know if you're aware, you can click this button here. It'll make it jump to the next event. So you don't need to play the whole flight. It'll just jump right to where you have information. So, and then we have documentation, checklists that you can upload. I do want to show you guys the power. So one of the things that are critical
Yes.
for flights is the battery, right? And when you look at flights or drone crashes, and we hear a lot about them because people upload flights and they ask what we think. And you see two kinds of crashes. You see crashes where it's a user error, and we see that a lot. And then you see crashes where it was an equipment problem, and we see that a lot too. And so if you look at the notifications tab in the player that I showed you, that's a great way to find if it was a user issue or user mistake. So it's a great way to learn. But the other side of it is when you have crashes, the majority of the crashes are power related crashes. So we have a lot of things we track around batteries and battery health and efficiency of battery. And really, you can spend a lot of time just looking at those screens. And then what it translates to for a bad battery, if you have a bad battery, you're going to have one of the two. You're going to either start flying, and you hear the stories all the time, right? People fly over the beach into the water or far away into somewhere, and they think they have 20 minutes, and all of a sudden it says you have 10 minutes. And before they know it, they say you have 5 minutes. And boom, I'm doing emergency landing because you have no battery left. And they're surprised, and then they lose their drones, and they try to find them. Many times they do, but not always, and it's unpleasant. And the other side of it is it just stops working midair, and these are the worst because you don't know what happened to the drone. You don't know. I mean, it's very, very dangerous if you're flying next to sensitive equipment or over, in neighborhoods or whatever. You definitely don't want to have any of that happening. So if you spend time on those screens over here, you can get a lot of information about the battery, the health of the battery. We have a lot of explanations in here. There's a lot of information on the forums and on the Facebook groups, of course. So check it out, see what we have. Some more information, cell graph. You can zoom in and see the different voltages of each of the cells to analyze it and get really deep into the system. So I want to show you how you take that, and so you can look at that per each flight, and you can get a lot of really cool information, but you can also do it when you trend that over time, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes. So one more thing I think is cool to see, this is the power that was used throughout the flight. And let's maybe open that in Google Earth, because I think that's actually really cool to see. So when you fly, and it makes sense when you gain altitude, the drone is going to work harder, and you're going to see more amperage going and more energy used to get up, right? So we can see it here that every time you go up, you kind of see the red, and that's the power consumption throughout the flight, which that's what you would expect. And then we also see here, that's another step up. You see also a peak, but then check this out. Then it's kind of going straight, and there's a lot of power consumption. So the question is why? Why is there such a high power consumption here? And I want to go back to that specific flight and open the weather information. So one thing that we do with the data that we get is, because we have so many flights, because we have more than 7 million flights, we're able to construct and build an aerodynamic model of each aircraft type. And using that data, we can tell at any given point of the flight, at any given pitch and roll of the aircraft, what exactly the expected speed of that aircraft. And we also know what's the actual speed because we have all the GPS, the high resolution GPS data from the flight. With that, we can say, okay, this is the wind in that flight. That's how it looked like in the air. And what's interesting is that in the beginning of the flight, you can see the wind was light blue, which is around 10 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. And then as we got over here, it got stronger, right? It got to almost 17 miles per hour. And so this is one interesting thing. The other interesting thing that you can do, because we have all that information, is you can chart it over altitude. And you can see the higher you go in this specific flight, the winds are stronger. So going back to, so it's more than 400 feet, it was significantly more than when it was a little lower altitude. So going back to this chart, again, this is the highest area of the flight. So you see the drone is working very hard to battle the wind. So just want to put it out there. So a couple of things that I would give as tips from this: when you set up return to home for your drone, many people tend to put 400 feet and just max it out, or 120 meters, right? It depends where you are. And many times it's okay, but keep in mind that when you do that, the drone has to work extra hard a couple of times. One, it has to work extra hard to go and climb, right? And you see the energy consumption is a lot higher. So you might want to avoid going all the way to the max. You might want to just set it to what you really need in that flight. And the other thing is, many people are not aware that when you go up to 400 feet, the winds are completely different, and they might actually fight the drone going back home. And that's when you hear stories about people clicking the return to home and it never comes home. And later on, you put the flight on Airdata and you see the winds are just didn't let the drone come home. So keep that in mind when you go out and set that number.
Yeah, if you don't need to be at 400 feet to return to home and you have a clear path back, set it for 200 or 100.
Exactly. Whatever, just enough to get you home without hitting anything on the way. So some of the other things I mentioned to you earlier, that part of the log files, we get a preview of the images. Typically, it's the last 4 images that you take in the flight, or if you took some videos, it'll be videos. You can come here to the media tab and you can do some pretty cool stuff. You can add annotations. This is an example of a roof inspection. Or you can see where the angle of the camera that this picture was taken in. So you can also upload your own images, and then you can click the little share icon over here. Maybe I'll show that really quick. When you click that, you can choose what information you want to share, and really you can customize. Maybe you don't want to share your name or your title, but you do want to, maybe in this flight specifically, you want to include the volts and amps that what we saw in the wind map and the altitude profile. So you can really customize what you share. You click share and it will give you a dedicated link. So I want to jump to the battery section, and I want to show you some of the things you can do over time, right? So what we saw so far was a flight. One flight, you landed, you go and you look at it, there's a ton of information over there. But what I want to show you is what you can do over time with, and why it's important to keep uploading your flights, because you can take that data and you can learn a lot by just looking at historical data. So there's a number of trends here. This is a little bit different chart. So each of those dots is a flight in the past. So if you look at the bottom here, that's about 3 years worth of flights. And you can see that the trends are clear, right? It goes down quite a bit over time. I want to show you efficiency, which I think is interesting. So efficiency, one of the things we measure under the battery is if you take off theoretically at 100% and you land at 0%. Now, most people don't do that, and please don't do that. But theoretically, that's what we calculate, how many minutes you can stay up in the air with that battery. And you can see that initially, we got about 23, 24 minutes from this battery, which is about the specs for this battery. And then over time, you can see that it degraded down to about 15, 16 minutes. So quite a bit less. And if you look at just one flight at a time, sometimes the flight is really high, sometimes it's really low, right? But once you trend it, you can see very clearly where this is going. And the next tab I want to show you is the deviations. So deviations is something that we calculate to detect weak cells. So we take depending on the drone, you have some batteries have 3 cells, some battery 4 cells, some of them have 6 cells, and some of them have 2 batteries, right? So we take all that information, we chart it over time, and we are looking for the weakest cell in the battery based on the voltage drop. And all batteries have deviations to some extent, and you can see this is, again, each bar here is a historical flight. The bar represents how many deviations you had. In the green, it means it's good. No reason to worry. But if you look at the trend, you can see that over time, these numbers go up until they get into the yellow line. Now, the yellow line is typically not a problem. And if you go and you read the instructions there on that page or the description, it will explain that. But what we found is that many times when you look at it, it's a good way to predict when batteries become bad. So the bottom chart here, all the purple color, the pink and purple, these are the more severe deviation. We call them major deviations, where the voltage drop for one cell is greater. And that's where you want to be very, very careful. And the purple lines are the most dangerous. So this specific battery, you can see very clearly, it has a lot of purple lines. Maybe I'll show really quick some statistic that I think would be interesting for a lot of folks. So about 85% of our flights on the database, right, more than 7 million flights, don't have any major deviations. And then about only 2% of our flights have 10 or more major deviations. So the deep purple that you see here on the chart. So you can see very, very few flights have that. So in this case, we can tell for sure that this battery should not be used for any flying outside of maybe firmware upgrades or just a quick test in the lab to take off and land right away. So I just wanted to show that really quick.
That's great information right there. By the way, G36 Pilot, he's a 1-year pro subscriber. He says he's learning a few new things today. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad to hear. I want to show you really quick the service item or the service tab, where you can get a quick glimpse at the service for this specific equipment. We also have the maintenance section that has a lot of information that helps you track. But if you look at it through the battery, and the same for the drone, you can see a quick summary of the basic service, the full service, and you see the progress towards that. You can click the perform service from here. We have a list of things that we recommend to do in each of those service items. So basic, for example, we recommend discharging the battery, etc. So that's something we collect from either DJI or things that we feel strongly should be part of the maintenance. You can also use one-off service items for, if you change propellers, if you upgrade your firmware, whatever you need to do, you can track it over here. And this is perhaps more for the more commercial pilots out there who need to keep track of maintenance for regulatory requirements. Drones is kind of the same thing. You get kind of an overview, the usage, the flight history, etc. Maybe that's not a very interesting drone, not a lot of flights. And then you can do all kinds of interesting things, and the same here for the service. I want to show you really quick the maintenance. There's a lot to show here, but I want to show specifically if you have more than 2-3 batteries, you might find this helpful. It will show you a list of all the batteries that you have and kind of the progress. So at the top, you'll see the most urgent stuff and where you stand, and then kind of going down with the severity. And so again, if you have a lot of equipment and batteries, that's a pretty cool view. So maybe before I jump to reports, I want to show you guys alerts, because some of you might think, okay, this is great, but sometimes I'm not right in front of a computer and I can't necessarily look at the flight right away, and I want to be notified that something is taking place right now before I take off again. So this is the alert section where you can create all kinds of interesting alerts, and we have some additional things coming up here soon, which we're very excited about. But let me show you what we have. So major deviations, again, I don't know if you remember this term, that's where one of the cells in the battery is weaker than the other cells. So if you had a flight with a lot of them, you can get notified and it will send you an email with that information. And then you can customize who's going to get that, what equipment type. If you have multiple people flying the equipment, you can notify whoever was flying the equipment. You can do the same for battery temperature, TB50, TB55. I don't know if you guys are aware, there was just a few months ago, there was a big deal with DJI batteries where drones literally fell out of the sky because of faulty batteries. And because we have all that data, we actually work with some of our customers who experienced that, and we were able to create an alert that detects that ahead of time. So we can alert when we detect a bad battery that might stop mid-flight. So that's this alert over here. You can also create alerts for maintenance. So instead of, again, going to the system every time and tracking it, you can create alerts over here. To some of our fleet operators who who have many pilots, you can customize and create some alerts. If just for safe flying, you want to maybe notify the pilot in command if they landed less than 30%, or if they didn't fully charge the battery ahead of time, or maybe they crossed what you allow in the organization as the maximum altitude. So a lot of things you can do over here in alerts. I want to show you really quick reports. There's a lot to show, but I just want to show you some of the options that you can do, so you're aware what some of the capabilities. So you have a number of categories. Flights to include is basically what flights you want to have in the report. Pretty straightforward. You can choose a specific pilot or specific equipment. Sometimes you don't want to include firmware flights, or you just turn on the aircraft to check something really quick. It's not important, so you can exclude those flights. So it's going to be if the airtime is less than that, or if the home distance is less than 10 feet, right? That's just, nobody cares about those. And then that's where you have all the magic. You can create reports with anything that you saw before and some more. So there's a lot of fields to choose from. You have casuals, the usual suspects, the date, time, who was the pilot in command. But then you start looking at some of the advanced analytics, the signal score, the compass rate. So these are the health analytics that we provide. You can see some of the weather information that I mentioned to you before. So you can really customize that. And then in some of our plans, you can also save a template, and you can schedule reports to get that just as an ongoing, say, monthly or weekly reports. So that was very, very, very quick. Maybe I'll stop and see if anyone has any questions. So Curtis, maybe you have any questions?
Well, interestingly enough, when we have these guests on our show, we usually get a bunch of questions. I think you pretty much floored everybody. They're like glued. They're like, I didn't realize all this stuff was there. Most people just go to the notification section and just kind of see if there was an issue. But the background of what all the stuff you're giving us here is just like immense. And there's a couple things I just learned too. So I'm kind of following along going, oh yeah, tell me more. This website is constantly growing. I can tell you guys that Eran and his team are constantly updating and adding to what information they can put on the website for you. So you guys really, really need to check this out. This is some really, really good stuff. And again, it doesn't cost you anything just to do it. You get 100 uploads that are free. Just try it out. Other than that, I don't have any other questions per se for me. Is anybody in the chat have any questions? You might want to type those in, since we have the man here now. I'm going to tell you, he's hard to get hold of. I know him personally, and I still have to wait to get an answer from him. He doesn't just jump in and say, oh, hi, Curtis. It takes a while. The guy is busy. So now that we've got him here, if you've got some questions, now is the time to ask, guys. Port Clinton Duck said, what plans get what features? So can we go over the plans section?
Yeah, so if you want to go to airdata.com, and just at the top there's pricing. If you click that, you can see all the plans. And what I recommend people is go ahead, sign up for the free account, start uploading flights. It's free, it's easy, and it gives you kind of a quick understanding of what kind of information we provide. And then once you play with the system and you try things around, then I think it will make more sense to you to come here and kind of take a look at the list. And then I think it will make more sense to you, because you'll see, for example, drone management. Yeah, I get it now. I know where that is. I know what that means. And that will help you determine if you want that, if you need that or not, or maybe you just go with the free plan. So, I know, Curtis, you mentioned that I'm busy. I am very busy, but at the same time, I would love to hear from you guys if you have any feedback. For though, it sounds like we have some folks who are currently using the system, please send us feedback. We love to get feedback. I can promise that we'll address it right away, but we love getting feedback. We've been implementing a lot of new features over the past few years just because people reached out and said, hey, we really need that. It's going to be helpful for 1, 2, 3. So please don't hesitate. Let us know. We love to hear from you guys.
Lauren, it's the email address to get hold of me is droneownersnetworklive@gmail.com. That's droneownersnetworklive, all one word, lowercase, @gmail.com. Let's see. G36 Pilot says, still diving into Airdata capabilities. Saved me from a i2 Inspire 2 bad battery trend 7 months ago. I think we just kind of talked about that. Was then able to recover it and grounded it before a problem occurred.
That's great.
So yeah, this is what this is for, you guys. This is when you go out and you fly, you have a lot of fun, and the next day, when you're kind of kicking back, relaxing, or the weather turns sour or whatever, go on Airdata, look at your battery trends, check out what's going on under the hood, and it helps predict exactly if there's a problem coming up. I've got 26 on my account. I have 26 batteries that I'm keeping track of, and that's kind of hard to, in the first days when we started the Inspires and when we all started buying Inspires and stuff, keeping track of 6 batteries was no big deal. But then you start adding Phantom 3s to your collection and Phantom 4s and Mavics and everything else. Suddenly you're trying to keep track of all this stuff, and even if you're writing stuff down, it's hard to keep track of. Airdata has all this stuff laid out nicely for you. So it's easy to maneuver. I mean, once you understand the site and you understand how to maneuver around in the site, it's easy to just kind of go around and check on, what you were using. There's merge features in there that are really cool. He has, I don't think, Eran, you've gone over that, but merging 2 drones. If I remember when my Inspire one came out, it was listed as 2 drones for some reason, and they've input some stuff to where you can merge those things together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the drone here, maybe let's just go there really quick. So I'll pick one of the drones, and it's the same for the battery. And so the merge function is so maybe let's take a step back. So the way I don't know if I have a good, here we go. So the way, when you upload a flight log to Airdata, we have a lot of magic we do behind the scenes to pick up the right equipment for that flight, right? The right battery and the right drone. And so most of the time it's just going to work. But sometimes, like Curtis mentioned, sometimes it would think that it's a new drone because the serial number might be completely different. And we've seen that, we're still seeing that. Sometimes you would fly with 2 different flight apps with the same equipment and it will report it differently. So the merge function allows you to say, look, this is actually the same equipment. It just reports with 2 different serial numbers. And once you merge, then moving forward, no matter what flight app you use, it will think that it's the same equipment. So it will save you the hassle later on to do it manually.
I'm trying to get over here to get to my OBS here again. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Other than that, is there any other questions you guys have or something you want us to cover? Doug Mellon says, I have a paid 360 Lite, but it says I have to get 360 Gold or Pro. Well, Doug, go get it. Is there an upgrade available? I think, yes, there is.
Yeah, so when you go to upgrade, it will, if you already paid for a plan and you want to use a higher plan, it will just, when you get to the following screen, it will show you automatically what kind of credit you get for what you didn't use. So it's very straightforward. It's very easy to see and help you make a decision.
He says an incremental upgrade.
It is, yes.
Yes, it is an incremental upgrade. Has anybody else got any questions? I mean, the man is here. Now's the time to ask. There's some great stuff here. Stig Idesal from Norway wanted me to point out that for a lot of you 107 guys, or if you're overseas and you're flying, this actually supports a lot of the stuff, the information that the FAA is going to ask for you in the reports section, or the CAA, different countries around the world. And Eran and them are working diligently to make sure they get that information in there for you guys. So Stig, you guys know him. He's been on the show a couple times, and he's like very, very serious about flying and stuff, and especially some of the places that he's flying, and he highly recommends it. So definitely check that out if you're flying commercially. There's a lot of things in here that are commercially that you can use. Let's see. I can't think of anything else. I mean, you've covered everything that I wanted to cover. The batteries was the big one that I wanted to, the battery usage over time was the big one that I really wanted you to cover here today, and I think you did that really well. What I didn't know was you could scroll and click the scroll wheel and expand that and look at it a little closer. So I learned something new today too.
Yeah. Maybe let me just show everyone really quick. So if you go to the flight and you click the power and sales graph, so this is the values of each of the sales throughout the flight. And if you look at it, it's great. But then maybe you had an incident at a specific point that you want to learn a little more. So if you hover over that and you do zoom in with a little scroll wheel of the mouse, it will zoom in and you can see in great detail what happened over here.
That's freaking awesome. Well, I think I have more flights than you, though.
You probably do. I don't get to fly much these days.
I know.
writing code.
Let's see. Lyman says he had questions, but the two of us have answered them already. Okay, Lyman. Well, that's good news. We're glad to do that. Eran, unless there's anything else you want to cover, I think we've covered all the bases. I know I had a list of things, but you covered them in your questions, so or in your presentation. So I definitely appreciate it.
Again, I would love to hear from you guys. We also have forums that you can go in if you don't have, if you kind of watch these later on and you have some questions, and of course on the Facebook groups. So please reach out and ask, and let us know if you have any feedback or questions. We always like to hear from our users.
All right. So that's a great presentation. Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Sure helped me with the features and what they do. Lauren, yeah, I did go out and fly with some folks. In fact, that's what I was doing last weekend, which is why we didn't have a show last weekend. All right, Eran, thank you very, very much for coming on the show again. We definitely appreciate you doing that. You guys check it out. It's Airdata, airdata.com, and we have some, I can tell you behind the scenes, we are working diligently to get some more folks like Eran on this show. And they all want to come on the show, so it's a matter of scheduling and stuff like that. But we have some great, great guests coming up that are just going to blow you guys away. So anyway, Doug, I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. So stand by, buddy. All right, thank you guys for coming in. We will see you guys. Let's see. Let's do this. We'll see you guys next time. And bye.